Brothers and sisters, hello and peace be with you today as we reflect on the Gospel for the 22nd Sunday in Ordinary Time, Luke chapter 14, verse 1 and verses 7 through 14. So a couple of weeks ago, we heard Jesus say, "The last shall be first, and the first shall be last." A common theme in St. Luke's Gospel is the idea of a reversal of fortune. We see this in the Gospel today. Jesus notes that the Pharisees and everyone else are watching him carefully. And he notices that they are at this wedding feast and they're all taking the places of honor. Last week, of course, he had warned against external observances. Now he wants again to show that going through religious practice or taking the highest place is not enough. He says those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Indeed, sometimes we exalt ourselves, we're full of pride, we talk about our gifts, our talents, what we've done, our business, how much money we have, what type of house we have and car we drive. What does that mean to the Lord? Sometimes being filled with our own pride makes us think that we're independent of God, independent of our neighbors. We can go it alone. Sometimes we become narcissistic. Sometimes we're filled with ingratitude. Well, we have nothing really to be grateful for because we did everything ourselves. Jesus doesn't want that attitude for his disciples. Rather, he wants them to be poor and humble, reliant on the charity of others, reliant on his Father's gifts, reliant on the gift of grace at work within us. Do we appreciate our talents as gifts from God? Our material blessings, do we look to share them with others, or do we keep them all for ourselves? Do we exalt ourselves and talk a lot about ourselves? Or are we more like Mary, who talks about God and what he has done and how she has been blessed and how God's name should be blessed forever, for his name is holy? What type of disciple are we? Are we one who wanders from the fold, off on our own? Or are we one who wanders with others, especially the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind? Jesus asks his disciples, and he invites them to hold a banquet and to invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind, simply because they cannot repay. He's calling his disciples to a greater generosity. But he reminds us, if we are generous, if we look with kindness upon the poor, if we share our love with the lonely, well, then the Heavenly Father will reward us. You will be repaid at the resurrection of the righteous. Glory in the flesh. Eternal happiness with God. What greater exaltation could there be than that? What greater reward? May this reward be ours always.